talk Texas Longhorns recruiting because this weekend's visit list is still growing. You know what I'm talking about. Longhorns, Bulldogs. It is the game of the weekend. And in this video, we're going to go behind the scenes of Texas's big visit weekend. We got recruiting insider Justin Wells on the show. But first, do me a favor, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We're going to be talking Texas recruiting for a while. So jump on board and hit subscribe. All right, let's bring in Justin Wells from Inside Texas. Now, Justin, between the 2025, 26, and 27 class, how many Longhorn recruiting targets do you think will be in Austin this weekend?
Yeah, right now the list is approaching 50. And
It's early.
I anticipate, well, this thing's been building for about 3 weeks. And what's funny is I had a source tell me that they had about 200 kids reach out.
Wow.
Wanting to attend, wanting to be at the game, but I think they're going to kind of cut it off around the 60 mark at the most, maybe a few more than that. Right now, we got about 50, almost 50 strong on the list at InsideTexas.com. Listen, first top 5 matchup for Texas since 2006 when Ohio State came to Austin and was number 1 in the country.
Yeah.
It was the year Troy Smith won the Heisman, and they beat up on a redshirt freshman named Colt McCoy in his second start. So this is the game to do it. There have been so many kids that have asked about this game, talked about this game. Recruits are talking about it. When I go on the road, this is the game guys have been looking forward to. And so don't be surprised if you see about 60, maybe 65 strong. Right. And they're not just regular recruits, guys. They're not filler recruits. These are some of the elite of the elite.
Yeah, I mean, normally on a big visit weekend, even if there's 100 recruits on campus, I mean, maybe 30, 40 of them have offers. But when you're talking 50 targets for Texas, I mean, you're talking like 50 targets that they've offered and are legitimately recruiting. That's huge. So That being said, obviously the product on the field is going to recruit itself. But how big is it to have both committed quarterbacks on campus this weekend in KJ Lacey and Diabell?
You know, with that position, Josh, I think it's always important because the quarterback position in recruiting is the one where they really do watch where the other one goes for good reason. But, you know, getting those guys back on campus, I think, is big. You know, Auburn had been really pushing on KJ Lacey for the last 6 to 9 months. With them flipping Deuce Knight, I think you can kind of put that to rest now. Yeah. KJ was staying strong with Texas no matter what. Getting him back is going to be big because he's going to be able to interact with all these 2025 commits and handful of 2025 targets that are going to be on campus. For Diabell, he gets to recruit this 2026 cycle. And guess what? Most of the recruits, the elite recruits that aren't committed, are going to be from the 2026 class on campus. And so D is going to get some head, you know, FaceTime with a lot of these guys. So anytime you get your quarterback commits on campus, I think it's big. You get both of them and you kind of sell them on that, look, we're going to need both of you. This is the way it works. And Texas has a good blueprint for that. Quinn Ewers getting hurt this year. They went to the backup. Arch Manning didn't lose a step. And so with that position in recruiting, it's always important. If you can get those two guys on the same page, you're doing really well.
All right, I want to focus on some of the stars from the 2025 class that'll be on campus. Here they are: Justus Terry, Kevin Wynn, Javen Hilson, Riley Pettijohn, Michael Terry. I mean, if we're being honest, I don't even really need to ask you about Riley Pettijohn or Michael Terry until after the weekend ends. There's just nothing to really gain talking about those two right now. Let's focus on defensive lineman Justus Terry. What does Texas need to do this weekend for you to feel like they have a legit shot coming out of this weekend to land Justus Terry?
Yeah, Terry's the one wild card, obviously, because he's the number 2 rated defensive lineman in the nation. 2025 kid out of Georgia. You know, you're not just hosting for his official visit. I believe he's going to be in on Friday, as we reported. You're not just hosting this kid. You're hosting him against his top competition.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Texas I posted a story earlier today at InsideTexas.com where a lot of these kids in Texas is mining the state of Georgia. They're using those connections from Tashard Choice and Kenny Baker and those guys, and there's a lot of talent in the state of Georgia, and Justus Terry might be the best. And so what better thing to do than to potentially beat the top competitor for his services than hosting the Georgia Bulldogs? I think this is one that we're getting to know a little bit more about. There's some things about it that have to be sorted out, but like you asked, for Texas to feel good coming out of this weekend, I think you need to see a win.
Yeah.
And I think you need to see a really good atmosphere and environment. And there's a good chance this is going to be the biggest, most attended game in DKR history. If you do all those things and check all those boxes and just keep recruiting the way you're recruiting, they don't push. They just present. If you keep doing that, I think Texas will be in the conversation. If it gets ugly or if it's a blowout in Georgia's favor, that might actually hurt them a little bit. But I love the fact they're bringing in Georgia's top D-line target on their board from their home state, from Manchester to Austin. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, you got to make a big impression. This is the weekend to do it. We'll see what happens coming out of this one. Now, I can guarantee, you said they got to do two things. One, I can guarantee that atmosphere is going to be special. A win. Now, I feel good about Texas winning, but I can't guarantee that. But I can guarantee that atmosphere is going to be special. All right, let's talk defensive lineman. Another defensive lineman here, Kevin Wynn. He's committed to FSU, but it feels like to me he's just holding a spot there right now because he went out to USC. He's been to Georgia. And over the weekend, his teammate, Stephen Miller, he's a safety. He flipped his commitment from Mississippi State to USC. Now, Kevin Wynn and Miller were both out at USC over the weekend. And, that had to be exhilarating for Kevin Wynn to see his teammate commit to the Trojans. So what are you hearing now where things stand with Texas and Wynn?
The one thing I know with Kevin Wynn is I don't think he's going to sign with Florida State.
Right.
I think you can take that one to the bank. You could even RPM that one if you wanted to.
He's just trying to find his secondary home right now while having one foot on home base.
Probably so. And I don't necessarily blame the kid. Look, I think there's three schools here. Texas is squarely in the mix. Coach Kenny Baker, defensive line coach at Texas, went to go see him a couple weeks ago when Texas had a bye week. They like him a lot. Like, they would love for him to jump in this class. They've already got two kids, Josiah Sharman, Myron Charles. They want to add two more, maybe even three. USC is making some hay right now. They're not only playing well on defense, they are recruiting at a very high level. And so the fact he went out to Southern California is noteworthy. Clemson is the school you need to watch for Kevin Wynn. I think Clemson has slid into this thing and may be the quiet leader for a kid that's committed to another school. They've done a tremendous job there. Right now, I think he's just open. Yeah. I think he's soaking in all this atmosphere. Like you said, he's looking for his second home. He's in no rush. Texas is in no rush, which is, I think, what gives the Horns a chance. They're not pushing him to commit. They're just selling the school. They're just selling the program. Hey, come join what we're building here. And so Kevin Wynn kind of also falls in the category with Walter Mathis Jr. and with Joseph Mbachu, both Georgia defensive line prospects where Texas is going to try to grab one or two more of those kids. And I think Kevin Wynn might have the most upside. Watch USC and really watch Clemson there.
Okay, now how about edge Javen Hilson? He's another one that was committed to Florida State. He reopened his recruitment back in early September, and he's been on the market now for about 5-6 weeks. He's been trending to Texas. So is this a weekend where Texas can close on Javen Hilson?
Yes. This is the weekend with Javen Hilson. I think this is the morning that you put on a pot of coffee and you get ready to close this thing up. Our Steve Wiltfong has been great. He's been all over this. I talked to him about Central Florida really being kind of the top competition there. I think he had some familiarity with the staff, some teammates there. But ultimately, I think Texas and Javen Hilson just make too much sense. And I think we could see possibly an ending to that recruitment this weekend. I think Hilson wants to join the Horns. I think he really, really connected with Sark. That official visit really hit home with him. And we ask kids all the time, what did you think about this? And what stood out here? Hilson's first answer with everything was the culture. And if there was one play that summarized the culture at Texas, it was Isaiah Bolden's hustle touchdown last week again in the Red River Shootout when Trey Wisner fumbled the ball. That's a culture play that's been shown on TVs and in video rooms and locker rooms for the last 2 days, 3 days straight. That's culture. And I think for Hilson, it really matters. If you can add him with the Smith Orogbo and a Lance Jackson, two other edge guys in the 2025 class, that you're looking at potentially the best edge haul in the country. And I think Javen Hilson makes a lot of sense. He's already decommitted twice. He once was committed to Alabama. Saban retired, so he changed his mind. He went over ahead and tried Florida State. That didn't work out. Usually with those kids, I feel like the third one's a charm. And so I really like where Texas is standing. If there was one kid coming out of this weekend that would be a Longhorn, it's going to be Hilson.
Okay. Now, we're going to talk Riley Pettijohn, Michael Terry next week after these visits conclude. But I also noticed on your site on Inside Texas, there's a lot of 2026 targets on campus. Who do you think are the most important that Texas Longhorn fans need to know?
Yeah, on offense, they're big in state. There's a lot of in-state guys that they are really trending well on. One of the top offensive tackles in the country, John Turntine, 5-star. He's going to be back on campus. He is the pillar of the offensive line. He's the number 1 rated player in the state. Texas missing out on Michael Fasusi probably almost guarantees they can get Turntine, and I think they kind of envision it that way. And so getting him back on campus is big because he loves Texas. Everybody's offered him, but I'm telling you, Texas is the leader in that one. Yeah. Javen Osborne, the number 1 running back recruit in the country, Texas, Michigan, Texas A&M. He's going to be on campus. That is a big running back, a big target. If there's one on the big board, it's him. Wide receiver Caden Finley. Now, they already have Chris Stewart out of Shadow Creek. They love Caden Finley. And that's the son of former Texas Longhorn tight end and Green Bay Packer tight end, Jermichael Finley. Caden is a stud, 6'2", 205 pounds out of Aledo. Just a really, really dynamic kid. They want to get him in this class. Now you want to look over the defensive side of the ball, and I'm telling you, Tyler Atkinson is a recruitment you've got to watch. When I say Texas is going into Georgia and mining the Peach State, this is an example of it. Tyler Atkinson, I believe he's either the number 1 or number 2 rated linebacker in the country. About 6'2", 205 pounds, Mr. Sideline to sideline. I mean, this dude just tracks and smacks. And if they need any help in that recruitment, I would just put on some tape of Anthony Hill Jr.'s performance last Saturday. They got him all SEC Defensive Player of the Week honors. I'd say, hey, just watch number 0 and see how he operates. Hey, Atkinson is early. This is an early recruitment that's going to take time and effort and things of that sort. Those other 3 offensive line guys, they've been on those guys for over 2 years. And I think you're just starting to see the fruition come about of all that building and growing and those connections. And so, yeah, that list at 2026 at InsideTexas.com, it is stacked. And I think those are some of your noteworthy guys.
All right, Texas fans. Well, you know what needs to go with a great recruiting weekend? A big win. Comment section below. Give me your score predictions. How many points is Texas going to win by on Saturday? Let us know. Comment section below.